بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome dear viewers, listeners, to our Saturday night live here on YouTube with Shaykh Imran Muhammad and with myself Waseem Ahmed. It's nice to have you. Today's topic is an interesting topic and something that was brought up in a few of our previous sessions. So we've been taking your suggestions and your comments into regard, and we thought we'd talk about I'm a dad, what do I do now? Fatherhood, the role of the father in the family and so forth. But before we talk about that and we get into that, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Imran, how are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. I'm fine, I'm good, with the grace of God Almighty. Allah keep all us protected, inshallah ta'ala. Sayyidi Mawlai, it's a great honor again to join you at this particular platform. Alhamdulillah. Started the Saturday Night Live. Alhamdulillah. Keeping it live and easy. Alhamdulillah. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah, my brother, a topic of today. Of course, initially, because you've got it up there as, I'm a dad. But on the other side, if you put a question, it's like, I'm a dad?
Yeah.
When it's when your missus says, I'm pregnant, and you're like, oh. But alhamdulillah, the beautiful thing is this, not all fathers react in a shock manner. Do you understand? Alhamdulillah, that there is always a jubilation, happiness, this sense of, yeah, I'm going to bring a life into this world. Alhamdulillah. So Allah give you barakah, Sidi Mawlai. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Ahlan wa sahlan. So before we start, as always, it's an open session. We want you to comment. We want you to get involved. We want you to share with others. Please feel free to suggest, make a comment, ask questions. We've got a plan. We're going to go through and talk about fatherhood and the role of the father and the dad and how it all works, inshallah. But we want you to get involved. And this is for everyone. So, of course, today we're talking about the male role or the dad role. But ladies will benefit from this. If you're married and in a relationship, then you need the father to be a father. You need to learn the roles and share and support each other. So, it's for everyone. So please get involved. Please do comment. Jazakumullah khairan. I'm going to get a bit closer, Sheikh. So here we go, right?
Subhanallah. Maza aa gaya. Allah khair kare.
Alhamdulillah. So where can we start in the topic today? Fatherhood, it's obviously it starts before you even have a child, I suppose. But where would you start today's discussion?
Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Habib Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabi barik wa sallim. No doubt, my beloved, wa bil walidaini ihsana. The Quran al-Kareem says that you honor and you respect and you do ihsan, show this sense of, this particular attachment towards your parents. Alhamdulillah. The Quran al-Kareem, my beloved, as you know yourself, it encourages this particular relationship. And in fact, state after his own ibadah, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's own worship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَبِالْوَالِدِ إِحْسَانًا. Now do ihsan and be kind and loving and respectful towards your parents. The Quran al-Kareem is very clear about it. And the beautiful thing about the Holy Quran is it doesn't separate the two individuals that have the most profound impact upon you and I, upon your child, they never separated. Even though the verse of the Quran which says that if you find one of them or you find two of them when they are old, right? But in that particular verse, alhamdulillah, subhanahu wa ta'ala is clarifying that they are one in the sense as one couple. So in the Holy Quran al-Kareem, the Holy Quran's tradition, the tradition of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, there is immense clarity in how you behave towards both of them, which is in reality equal. But the thing is, Akhil Aziz, what has happened is that when it comes to our mothers, this is one of the most beautiful gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has been bestowed upon us. It's the greatest karam upon us. And of course, usually we give the hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. A sahabi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam goes to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he says, Ya Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, who has the right over me? And he say, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ummak, your mother. Then ask again, he goes, your mother. Then he asks again, he says, your mother. And then he says, Wuna, he says, your father. So on the basis of this hadith of Rasulullah certain individuals look at maybe the right or the position and the honor is much greater for the mother compared to the father. No. What this is because you have to understand in the context of when this hadith of Rasulullah is being mentioned, or these words are being mentioned, the status of a mother was a lady that used to be sold in the bazaar.
Yeah.
People forget this. The status of women was so much that, na'uzubillah, they used to bury their own daughters.
Ya Latif.
The status of a woman was she was the property. Let me say this again. The wife, she was the property of the husband.
Ya Latif.
This is reality.
This is realities. Yeah.
This is reality. This we are talking about that time. So no doubt, first and foremost, that status, that honor, that position that is given to our beloved mothers from Rasulullah SAW was to remove this sense of looking down upon this status and position. This is your mother that you came from. How could you treat her like this? So within the hadith of Rasulullah SAW, when you look at the siyaq of the hadith itself, when you look at the purpose, the way Rasulullah SAW is presenting this, this is one of the purposes and reasons behind this. Now, when we talk about the fatherhood, ya baba, ya abba, abaya, abu,
Ya
papa,
Abati.
reality, ya abati, baba, papa, pops, dad, daddy. The way we relate with this particular relationship. And it is so beautiful that I always say this whenever we discuss about mothers and fathers. I always say, look at the word itself. Like the word mama, 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 your lips join. And when you say abba, your lips also join. Yani, both of them, Allahu Akbar. It is desired that you, when you say their name, you kiss them.
Subhanallah.
This is a beauty. This is a beautiful thing. In the language of Arabic, this has been used in this way. And we say, Ammaji, Abbaji, Amma, Mama, Papa. All of them are related to this particular way of pronouncing the name. All because of that particular relationship and ta'alluq. Because it is a relationship of muhabba. It's a relationship of hub. It's a relationship of this compassion and this sense कि ये मेरे हैं और मैं इनका हूँ. That's what it is. That's the reality. That's the foundation within our deen al-Islam. And let me share something. Yeah, Bismillah.
Bismillah. No, so I was going to say that this is a very important point, that today's topic is about love, because the bond of the parent, both mother and father, to the child is built on unconditional love, as we say, pure love. It's a new relationship. When you're first given a child, there is a question: I'm a dad, what? I'm a mother, what? It's a new phase in one's life. It's a new journey. It's a new part of that development of a human being. And now you're sharing, as you do in the father, as a son to a father, as a sibling, as a spouse, and now as a parent, as a mother or father. And this is one of those relationships which is built on love and this care and selflessness. And this is where it all stems from. So when we're going to talk further on about the father and his role and whatever he has to do or should be like, it's all based on that love, concern, and wanting the good for the child, for his children. This is a very important foundation I think we have to lay before we move into any discussions. And that's the context of these discussions. We're not going to say fathers are this or that and criticize or talk and try and forget that factor. That factor of this, what we've just mentioned right now, must be provided first and kept in mind throughout. We can't sort of dissociate the love and concern from anything we talk about today. So that's wanted to mention this very crucial point.
Jazakallah khair, Mawlaya. And look, Mawlaya, this is what important thing is, that we are talking about that particular relationship, which for certain children is a very complicated relationship. The thing is, this particular relationship evolves through our lifetime. When we are children, when we are younger, our relationship with our fathers tends to be very different. Whereas when we grow older, especially within the subcontinent context or maybe from the Arab context, right, it changes. It also changes in the Western context, European context as well. But that relationship is a bit more open relationship. Right? So our relationship changes over time. So we stop associating the concept of love.
We do, yeah, we do.
Compassion.
We do. Yeah.
We do. And sometimes, of course, the sadness is that sometimes these feelings, they embed within our heart and mind, where, do I really know my dad? What does my dad really do? Right? What has he done?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? He's never there. I never see him. Where is he? You know, in my life, I can't even remember him. You know, there are situations, circumstances, or people's experiences like this as well. And let me share something with you. Bil hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, that the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, لا يجزي ولد والدا إلا أن يجده مملوكا فيشتريه فيؤتقه. No child, this is a hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, narrating Al-Muslim, no child can compensate his father unless he finds his father as a slave, buys him, and then sets him free. There's nothing you and I can do to fulfill the ihsan that your father has done upon you. Nothing.
One of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
We call it Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and this is a very extreme example given. Unless you find your father as in bondage with someone, in slavery, you buy him to free and buy him, and then you set him free. Even then, you have not fulfilled what he has done for you. You know, we've heard this hadith of Rasulullah about where a Sahabi Rasulullah comes from a really far land, and he has his mother on his shoulder, and he said, I have done Hajj of the land of Makkah al-Mukarramah 7 times with my mother on my shoulder. Have I compensated for any of the good that she has done upon me? Rasulullah looked at him and said, you have not even repaid back for one moment of pain she went through at the time of your birth. We cannot repay them back. We cannot repay them back. And the thing is this, we don't understand the context why our Deen al-Islam keep on emphasizing this particular relationship. And that's difficult. And let me share something with you. Majority of us don't understand that until we are blessed with our own children.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I think
it's true, isn't it?
As young people, because you're young and you're growing up, and sometimes, and we'll talk about this, when you get to them mid-teen years, you do start, you know, thinking different ways. The intellectual development occurs quite drastically in that stage, and you know, you go independent, and that independence almost makes you feel independent of your own parents and everything they've done for you. So it can be a stage where we think, and then there's a reminder as you get your own children, as you grow up and you get more mature, that wait a minute, everything they've done was to give me an opportunity in life. You know, they sacrificed for me. They did all this for me. They put those restrictions or limits or guidelines in place for me. So I think it's a learning process for the child. And I think the value of this role is somewhat, not really talked about enough. I really believe so. And we need to really get this message out that this is a crucial, not only I would say just to recognize that, but I think if we realize how important this role is, and maybe today's day and age, how neglected this role is and how difficult it has become to be a good father, and all these ideals we kind of maybe talk about today, and reaching them has become, the world we live in. I was reading a book, which I mentioned to you earlier, called Fatherless America.
Yeah.
And it's written by David Blankhorn, and it's basically about how things have changed over the last half century or so. And one of the things he mentioned is this industrial revolution and the way the world has become and so forth, how the father's role has diminished in the family unit, how there's much more single parent families, and most of them are single mothers. And actual children, he got statistics of showing how much children actually lived at home with their parents in America. Yes. And it was over 80% 50 years ago, 1960 something I think he quotes. And in 1990, where he wrote the book around, that had gone down to 60%. So there's a decrease of father presence even. And he then talks about how, what that means in the effect of family, raising of children, and the outcome ultimately, and how the lack of a father figure affects the whole family unit. So we really need to support fathers as well, and support this role, and hopefully see how the Islamic perspective and the Islamic setup is really, set up to make that a success, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah ta'ala. And see, at the same time, what needs to be kept in mind is that because we are, of course, naturally talking about an impact of a particular culture. Of course, fatherless America, or fatherlessness in certain communities, in certain ethnicities, in certain nationalities, right? What you find is that there are particular trends, right? What you find, and of course, where there is a high number of divorce, for example, right? In certain, and these are related. When you plot them on a graph, you find they parallel to each other, they correlate equally. You find that by the fathers, you see a very clear pattern. You tend to see stuff like this. Do you understand? And this plays into what tends to happen. And then the whole impact, like you have said, upon the subordinates, which are within that home, the children, the girls, the boys that have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed. This is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And let me also bring this in. Sidi Maulai, because we are discussing this from a very crucial perspective, that we tend to forget, right? What's the best things, right? What's the best things a father can give to a child? Because the thing is, we can discuss, right, as much as we want, right? This is a father, this is what the element of the father is. And like we have said, the Hadith, Quran al-Kareem is very clear that you show ihsan towards them, that you are kind towards them, that you are loving towards them, that you don't raise your voice in front of them, you don't say oof to them, you don't, etc., 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 right? Okay. But then there are some essentials what create a father. यानी एक बाप बनना भी कोई आसान तो नहीं ना, because we think, according to the basic definition, the one who fathers, meaning who brings a child to this world.
All right? Biological father. That's
biological father. And let me share something here. It's purposely that we have chosen dad in our title.
That's true.
That's purposely, because dad, daddy, papa, pops is a much more affectionate term.
Yeah, and even used for the non-biological father, somebody who nurtures you and you see as dad.
Yes.
Somebody who's an influence over you and a carer.
Of course.
This is the word dad. A father is used in a formal way, isn't it?
In a formality. It's a sense of formality.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And people use it, oh, that's my father. Yeah, of course, in that context. But there's no real sense of affection, compassion, engagement, love. So a father, because in the Arabic context, amongst the Arab, I remember when we were there, and of course you've stayed in Syria yourself, I was in Egypt myself, and one thing I thought was just really beautiful, Akhil Aziz, is that they would use, the term Rabb, Rabb, which is Rabbul Alameen, Rabbul Kainat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the cherisher, who is the nourisher, who is the provider of all things. But Rabbul Majaziyah, the virtual Rabb, Man huwa? Abana, our father. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, this is the context. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to embed in us.
Yeah.
Right? There's a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam which talks about this, that Rada al-walid or walidain. The happiness of your parents is my happiness. Wasakhat al-walid, and the displeasure of your parents is my displeasure. It's both. It's talked about the both parents within the hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, but it's very clear. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is he's affixing directly his connection with the connection of our parents. So in a way, a lot of pressure. Sometimes what I'm saying at this moment, because I'm a son myself, like you are, Akhil Aziz. There's when we hear these things, when we learn these things, oh man, pressure pay here. Look how Deen, how it says it. But do remember, to become a father or a dad is much more than just biologically bringing someone to this world.
Yeah.
Look, hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Ma nahala walidu waladan min nahlin afdalu min adabi hasan. Because Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, there is no gift, there is no bounty, there is no gift that a father gives his son more virtuous than good manners, good behavior, ilm.
Subhanallah. So this is the thing, the question I asked earlier, I think the answer to it. what as a father can I give my children? And we often look at the economical welfare. I need to provide for them. I need to put the food on the table, which is important. We're not diminishing from or taking away from the importance of these things. Sometimes we look at in terms of I don't know, the societal level of status and so forth. But the best thing, and part of it is coming to all of these things, I suppose, is adab al-hasan, good morals, good manners. And for me, that is the crux of it, because if you, and this is what I want to do with my child, if I give him, and I've got a son and a daughter, them, this, that's it. In reality, as much as I can teach them anything else, or they can choose their own journey in life. But if I know that the foundation has been on morals, the choices they will make in life, of jobs, of when it comes to their marriage, when it comes to their future, when it comes to the community, if they have the morals, if they have the adab, if they have the good character, the prophetic character, then they will always choose something which will be of worth, of value, of goodness. Of
But
course, we
Maulana,
do everything, but this is the most important foundation.
it is, but Maulana, at the same time,
Gee,
as we are, our children are also the products of our environments.
of course, everyone's a product of the environment, and
We're
most
products
of
of our
young people.
environment. Now,
Yes.
One thing is about giving knowledge. Now,
Mhm.
in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in our tradition, is very clear. It is the obligation of the parents. In this context, the father.
Yes, primarily on the father's shoulders.
Yeah, कि जो तुम जानते हो वो बताओ, वो उनको सिखाओ.
Yeah.
Now our problem is, you know what, Imam Sahab, grab him.
And this is an important point, and
Yeah.
we live this, you and
We
I,
live-
we see this, and it's wrong. It's wrong,
It
because
is, and
I mean, you first of all, and this is something that happens at fatherhood. Sorry to take
no,
the
Bismillah,
mic here,
Bismillah,
but,
Bismillah.
even Alhamdulillah, I knew quite a bit, but even when I became a father, I was like, what do I do? What do I read? What can I? But I actually asked the question, what can I do? I never thought, what can somebody do for me? I actually asked that question myself, thinking, I'm a father now. What do you do? What's the next steps? What books do you read? And it was a funny story, actually. I went to one of my teachers and I said, can you recommend me a book? I look back and I look how naive I was, right? Can you recommend me a book on fatherhood? And my son had just been born, in Syria, born in Damascus. He was a few weeks old, I think, at the time.
Damashki.
Damashki, alhamdulillah. Yeah. But he actually says he's Syrian. I'm from Syria, I'm not.
And a Shami Basuri.
Yeah, that's it. So I asked the question. The Sheikh said, smiled first of all, and said, Waseem, you don't learn tarbiyah, you don't learn children from books. You can read books, you can't learn from books. You learn from the people of tarbiyah. You learn from their company, you learn from observing, you learn from your elders, your parents, your own parents are the first teachers, of course. And this is how you do it. And I was a bit naive, so I said to Sheikh, I know, but can you give me a book? Can you recommend me a book? This is how we were. We were young. We read. We love reading. We could read all day and night. So they did recommend me a book in Arabic. It's not, our listeners probably won't benefit from it, but it was a good book. I read it from cover to cover. I got it and read it. Alhamdulillah. So this is the thing. When you are given that role, you don't say Imam Sahib. You don't say school. You don't say caregiver or whatever after school carer. No. What are you going to do? What are you going to give? What are you going to provide? As much as you can. And that's where priorities come in. You're going to give your time to all of these other things in life. Or you're going to sit at home now with your family and children. So I think to get to the most important thing, which is akhlaq, which is all these good. I think this is your point. And maybe I've jumped in and taken over.
No, Bismillah, beautiful.
You have to be there. You have to be there to give it. You have to take the responsibility to give it.
Presence.
Your presence.
One of the
most. The Prophet said, "You give it. The best thing you can give, not
Yes.
you can get from outside of the house.
Yes.
You can go and purchase. Money can't buy morals. Money can't, pay you for things. Right? No. You have to give it yourself. You have to provide it.
And
presence. You need your presence more than you need your presence. You need your presence,
which are nice. Which are nice.
Need your presence. Yeah.
Presents are nice.
Presents are nice as well. But,
and this is important as well. But Akhil Aziz, look. This is how powerful presence is. Wahan hona. Now, we're not saying leave everything, leave your duties, leave your social life, leave everything, and get depressed and say, oh, my kids have stuck me, and then you start blaming them. No. That's not it. Balance. So, first thing is be there, present. And then a balance is also important,
Balance.
right? Balance is highly important for your own sanity as well as a father.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me share something with you, Akhil Aziz. What you find, alhamdulillah, because I work in the whole child development area, we see children develop at different families and how they're impacted and how they're affected. And of course, we also see the extreme examples of the type of negativity they may have or have had or have seen. All right, they've seen their fathers behave in a particular way. They've seen their fathers being alcoholics or being druggies or being abusers or being people who are not true providers or do not care for their children and for their partners and etc. So that has a profound impact upon the psyche, the build-up, the essence, the development of that child. And sometimes, I'm sharing this with you, it stifles it. It completely stifles it. It's unbelievable. I remember, and this is why what's on the positive side, what you find is those kids who are brought up in a household where there's a father, the kids are much more social. This is research. This is genuine research on the Sidi Maulai. All the psychiatrists talk about this. They talk about the developmentary psychologists and etc. on child behavior. They discuss this. But having a fatherhead in the household, especially a positive, present individual who is a participant in the engagement of that child's development and engagement within the showing of affection towards his own partner, his wife, etc. The children, number one, are much more social. Okay, and in fact, the impact of being a person like that, it has an impact not only upon the child, but also their wife's health, their partner's health. Wow, it's unbelievable. Just by being present, wallahi. Wow. Just being present, because the father in reality of it, because we can talk about, and this is a subject that we need to talk about, manliness. What is manhood? Right, inshallah ta'ala, Allah gives tawfiq to discuss that. That is a complete different area of discussion, Sidi Maulai. What is manhood? What is to be a male? What is, we talk about bravery and chivalry and we talk about these things, but what do they really mean? Right? What is the sense of that? Okay. Then at the same time, their children are more, the beautiful thing was they excel academically. They excel in intellectually.
I've read about that as well. I've read about the presence of the father, parents both, but especially the father in the education of a child has a massive impact on how their success, and the lack of the father's concern and presence and support has a massive detriment.
Huge impact. So their kids are much more successful academically. Okay. Then also at the same time, Akhil Aziz, their children start speaking earlier. Yani unnati they quwwati ghoy, as they say, nutq.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I came across a very good study, Maulaya, about a number of years ago. There was a linguistic scientist, someone who deals with language development. So what he done is that he put cameras up in his house, right, to record his first child's, I think it was a son, record his first child's evolution of language. Right. So I'll give one example. One example was about when he said the word water, and the word water started because the nutq, the mouth itself of the child is not fully developed. When the child is born, it's not fully developed. Right. It develops over time. Right. In the first few years, that's what tends to happen. So now the child, Allahu Akbar Kabira, Subhanallah, will start to say, sound like hud. Like that sort of sound. Slowly, because they were speaking English. Slowly, it went from that to water. At the age of 2.5, 2.5, come to 3, the child started to say the word water. Right? Now, the crucial point is this. In that study, what they saw was, right, which I'll come to later on, about the different ways our mothers, impact our development and how fathers impact our development. Right? We'll come to that in a short while, inshallah ta'ala. But I want to share this because I'm touching on it at the moment, that the father tends to use all of the syllables in a word. He will pronounce the word fully, completely, how it is. Whereas the mother will dumb down her language, right? She will
Mm.
try to imitate the child. And then,
Okay.
so her method is, when the child say, when the child drinks दूध, go, दूधू, दूध पीसो, बच्चा दूध पीसो. Eh?
Milk.
But the father will say, दूध पीसे, दूध पीसे.
Yeah,
Right?
straightforward.
A father, no, because this is a very crucial part. This is why it is important, the combined engagement of the mother and
Right.
father.
Beautiful.
Combined engagement. It is a team effort. It
Mm.
is a team effort. And let me say this at the same time, Akhal Aziz. Wallahi, I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of love for those men and women who bring up their children alone. I want to say this here.
Yeah.
Because even though there's a lot they may not able to, put into their child, they try so hard.
Yeah.
They put so much mehnat in, there's so much effort in. Wallahi, they do. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look, we are from a tradition where, if there was a sister who's mutallaqa, who's a divorcee, who has children, etc. In our tradition, there was a tradition. Sad thing is, this has been removed because of the cultures that we live in. Right? That to give her support and help, not only for herself, if she has children, for her children as well. That's very important. But we don't discuss this. We don't engage with this. But I have a lot of respect for them, because many times it's not their fault. These type of breakups happen because of divorce, because of death. They become widows or widowers and etc. And they're left in that situation. And wallahi, no one wants that. No one wants that, because they can't be two people. They are only one person. They need the help and support. Of course, we are talking about fathers at this moment in time, but inshallah, over time, Allah gives tawfiq to discuss and develop that as well. So when you look at how different, but it's essential to have both. This is why all of the research shows this, that these children, they excel. Their level of language develops even more quicker. Verbally, they express much more. Their children grow up less prone to depression. Right?
So
Their
on this
sons are
point,
less likely
you're
to be
mentioning-
in trouble.
So just
Bismillah.
on the, I just want to bring in that very point actually, just there. So we all know, we all see practically what happens. Majority of families, of course, there are many exceptions as well. Today's day and age, more so that the mother dominates, predominantly has more of a role of the nurturing at home with as a baby, of course, right? And this is what happens. And the father, like you said, comes in, speaks, is there for hopefully for a lot of the time as well, and maybe helps with the cleaning of the child and grooming, etc., looking after the young man and spending time with the young girl or boy as well, without the mother there. Not doesn't have to be her doing everything. But that what I'm trying to say from that is, what impact does that have from the father side to the later years? Because it's the early years, and going forward, how much does that have an impact? And I want to share there was this. I think there's a two husband and wife team called Bill and Martha Sears. They're from America.
Oh, okay, mashallah.
I don't know. I read American books. I don't know why. And they have the book called The Successful
You're
Child. They've got a series of books.
Maulay, you're not thinking of packing your bags and going to become a man.
No, definitely not. With all due respect,
Amen.
definitely not.
Allah protect our brothers and sisters of America.
Wallahi,
especially in these times. Especially in these times. And I don't only mean our brothers and sisters in Islam. I mean our brothers and sisters in humanity. Wallahi,
I agree with you.
Allah protect them. Allah make them strong. Allah make them steadfast, inshallah.
Yeah, and they were saying that what is the most crucial time for the father and the parents to be with the child? Is it at the age of, like, if you have to pick one time, the age of 5, the age of 9, look, they're 11, they're getting into this maturity, adolescence, we talked about this a bit before. When is the most important time? And you know what they said? And they gave you the reasons for it as well. At the earliest time, when they're basically a baby and they can't do anything, that is the most important time to be with your child. Those are the most crucial stages. At the birth, beyond the birth, the early days, and the amount of time. The thing is, like I said, I think this point has been made clearly, hopefully, the amount of time you spend is so crucial to any outcome, any results, anything you get in the future. Yes, Mola.
Well, let me share something. Culturally, you may see our fathers, our elders, they smell the child.
Mm.
Amongst the Turks, they have a similar tradition. Amongst the Kurds, they have a similar tradition. Amongst the Arabs, they have the similar tradition, right? And especially the fathers, that close attachment. It is like, yeah, this child is the flower of my garden.
Mm.
And I came across a saying, right, that a child is amongst the branch of the tree of the father,
Subhanallah.
right? So that is this scent. This scent is now children at that level, Akhil Aziz. It is about the scent. It is about seeing this image and this individual. That is what embeds within the heart and the mind of the child. And you're right to say that this is a very crucial time. Every step of the way, when a child is young, whose finger is he holding or she is holding? A budgie, majority of time. Especially if you see the full image, that's what you see, don't you?
Yes.
And wallah, these, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, there's so much that we can discover and look into, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And of course, when we discuss this and talk about this, and we've discussed that there are different styles, right? We have no doubt the mother is hands-on. The mother is there all the time and around the child. You understand? The mother cares for the child. She nurtures the child. She cleanses the child. She feeds the child. All right, and that's why this status and honor is given to her. That under the feet of the mother, that is Jannah. But we forget. There's a hadith Rasulullah which says on the top of the head of the father is Jannah.
Subhanallah.
It is
one hadith that the father is the middle door to paradise.
Yes.
So preserve that door. In the middle of paradise.
Now, so this again and again is for a particular reason. And once again, we are emphasizing the point. There's a difference between being a biological father. Even that gives you status. In Quran Hadith, there is still a status for that. You are still liable for honor and respect and love and affection and compassion. But what we are discussing is the true essence of fatherliness, fatherhood. What is that? That you are a provider, you are a carer, you are one who protects his children, and protects his home, protects his people around him, alhamdulillah, and creates an environment of nurturing and development. Now let me share, Sidi Maulid, let me share the different styles. Now, mothers, I want to share this because I think it's very crucial, because our beloved sisters are also listening at this moment in time, is to understand the difference. All right, and the impact of the difference upon the child, because sometimes we can't see this. We don't know what real impact fathers have, right? Now, I'll give you an example. For example, mothers tend to find themselves generally in a more nurturing role. This is, across the board. Doesn't matter what ethnicity they're from, doesn't matter what culture they are from, doesn't matter what nationality they are. This is what tends to happen. And there's a particular reason behind that, because there are certain traits which biologically, emotionally, which have been embedded within as human beings, as genders, and this is a very crucial part. Maulaya, I was watching a number of programs on animals, and one of the things I was watching was around predators, carnivores, right? Lions and creatures like that, lions and tigers and leopards and creatures like this. Now, amazing thing is, and crocodiles and alligators and creatures like this. Now, one of the beautiful thing was, and if I was a program which was narrated by Attenborough, and he was narrating it, and he goes, to the world, these creatures are what? Predators. They will rip apart the enemy and they prey. Wallahi, in that program, what do I see? I see the alligator picking up her child, baby, in her mouth with them sharp teeth. But she's careful. She is careful that she doesn't pierce the skin of the child. In the same way, the lioness, she grabs the cub from the neck like this and takes the child where it needs to go. But even though so ruthless an animal it is, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this sense of nurturing in that child, in that particular creature. Maulaya, in the same context. So they seem, the thing is that they seem to have an innate ability to be to be discerning with their child and with their children. Mothers are like that. For example, they're often more tuned into the baby's specific needs, requirements than the father. So suddenly the child's crying, the mother says, "Oh, baby wants milk. Oh, it's food time. Oh,
just send him on his side. Just put him in this position. That's it.
nappy." You saw the nappy, yeah. And the father's like, "Oh, chooks na." You know, it's khana kawal. All right. Oh, kasme boch nahi. Nappy badal. You know? Now, because it's a different style of engagement. The mother is immensely tuned into that side of the child, that element of the child, right? So there is this very simply, you know, an emotional connection. They're emotionally connected between the mother and the child. Right? And father in comparison doesn't have that, right? So in addition to this, okay, mothers tend to be, tend to verbalize a lot more with the children, right? Part of the tendency is that women generally are more verbal than men. So the mom says, "Have you sorted out your bed yet? Have you done this? Have you done that? Have you got your bag? Are you ready? Are you getting? Have you got your uniform on?" Right? And the father's like, "I'm going out the door now." Is an example. So there's much more in that from that context. Okay, from that context. So there's a slightly different type of engagement.
So moving on to
let me just throw this in. Let me put this in, then I can bring in the father bit as well, inshallah. Yes. So mothers generally, mothers generally put their children's needs ahead of their own. All right. So she seems to be, pre-wired with this, to self-sacrifice. All right. Perhaps that starts with, of course, the starting of the pregnancy, because the child is consuming, taking what the mother's eating and etc. And also is fulfilling that. But on the other side, let me share this now. Now we know all of that. We discussed that. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, we appreciate that because of our mothers and their cherishing and nurturing. Alhamdulillah, we are protected. But what about fathers? Now, fathers' style is different. Our fathers are generally, Akhil Aziz, more focused on having high expectations of their children. Right? So what do? There's a sense of encouraging them to deliver on those consistently. It is. So fathers are like, okay, you've done this, you've achieved this, now next goal. Isn't it?
That's right.
That's true. Yeah. Now this is encoded. We have been encoded like this as men. They tend to focus less on making the child feel good or secure, and more on challenging them and helping them, my beloved, prepare to cope with the real world. Now, a father, they'll pick up the child and they'll throw him in there, and the kids laughing, and you're like, "What are you doing?" But look at that, the impact that has upon the limbs of the child. The idea of the child feels the sense of courage is bravery is developed in the child, right? The father's like, they're going to see the child, kid or child or daughter playing football, right? And they fall. And what does the father say? "Come on, get up. Dust yourself down, get back on. Come on." And in comparison, mothers are like, "Oh, this is also important for the development. But look what's happening to the psyche of the child. This is important." Right? So the emotional connection that a mother has is not often replicated by a father. It's not. For example, it sometimes happens that there could be an individual, right, that who has twins, right? And many times happen, men can't tell the difference between their own kids. A mother knows exactly who it is. This is Abdullah, this is Abbas. This is Samia, this is Isma. MashaAllah. You understand? They can tell the difference. Right? But a father might not have that. But that doesn't mean in any way that they don't have the same affection, compassion. In fact, let me share with you something, Mawlaya. I came across something there's a lady who is a divorce attorney, right, in America. She said something very interesting. She goes, she has worked with over 2,000 men around the divorce issues, helping and supporting men to get through that particular period. And she said something very interesting. She goes, they did like a DNA test, right? all right, a genetics test on the father and their children, because many times what happens is when they come, they can't prove that they're children. It
Yeah,
happens,
I know what
right?
you yeah.
She said this. She goes, out of 100 men, there's only 2 men who got it wrong. Only 2 men. So 98% of them got it right, that this is my child.
Mhm.
So we think, oh, men are not connected, men don't have emotional state. Mom don't. No, 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 no. They do have that. They know who their child is. They know what it is. They know that, the essence of their own child. They know. They can smell them. This is why that culture comes from. They smell them. So let me say this final thing. I've taken a little bit more time. Fathers, while they do not, verbalize as much as mothers do, right, tend to be more direct and use fewer words. It's natural. Idhar aao, udhar ja, ek kar, wo tha. We have this thing. They may seem to be too tough to the moms, but their toughness, Siddhi Galle, is rooted in helping the kids to prepare for the real life, to make them stronger, to strengthen their limbs, become more agile. If they fall and they say, come on, get up. They're on a bike, they're falling off, just get up. It's not that they don't feel it, they do feel it, but a father's purpose there is different, is to develop a different side to the child. And let me say this, dads also tend to be less self-sacrificing. They are.
Yeah.
At least in an obvious way. Their sacrifices tend to be more focused on the family as a whole and less on the individual children. This is what we're trying to emphasize, that the fathers, in the case of the context of the family, the framework of the family, right, the mother concentrates upon the components, single components of everyone. So that's a very powerful position she has. But the father has to look at the holistic. He has to see the well-being of the house, the well-being of the mother, the well-being of his wife, the well-being of the child, and think about the child's education, learning, physical, mental, spiritual, every aspect. See the difference? The styles are different, but they are crucial in the development of the child.
This is very important, I think, for our viewers. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We hope you're well. Exactly. Please do comment. Please do ask questions. There is one or two questions come in. We'll go to them in a moment, inshallah. But I think to help us all understand the context of where we are right now, we have to talk about the psychological side and how the human brain is different from male to female. It's scientifically proven. It's not something we're saying as Muslims. The research is clear. And that is very important to recognizing the role of each parent and the role of the father. And really thank you, Shaykh Imran, because of your background to bring that in to the discussion. That's so crucial, because sometimes, we, even one spouse cannot understand why this spouse is doing things. It's happened to me, like you said, my boy falls off the bike. I'm like, brush yourself up, get up, let's get going. His mother's like, take it easy on him. He's hurt himself. He could be bleeding. I'm like, he'll be all right. And exactly what you were saying, I was like, subhanAllah, you just explain psychological breakdown of why I do at home, because that's how we work. Because I'm like, keep getting tough. So if you graze, we grazed our legs 100 times when you were young. In the end, you learn to get stronger. But that's the thing, though. It's not because we don't care for them. It's because we want something greater for them, like get them strong.
That is how we show being. That's how we show.
That's how
our being caring, being loving. Yeah. That helping them to develop a different side to their body, their physical state, mental state.
Right. So this is very important, dear listeners. So please take awareness of this, how each role will differ. And now, on a more practical perspective, our viewers have maybe tuned in to think about one question that came is, how can we make an Islamic environment? How can the father? What's the father's role in this Islamic environment? It's a very specific question, and we're talking generally about raising a family and providing. I just wanted to go back to what I was reading in this book, Fatherless America, and one of the things, one of the studies they had actually was like what you said. They brought in hundreds of fathers, and they had loads of conversations, and they recorded them. And this book was written after a lot of research. It's very, very got a lot of research behind it. It's not anything in the book isn't like exactly the truth, but it does have correctness to it. It does have something we should take from it. What he found,
the statistical analysis behind
the points, which deliberately were done. So it wasn't just a case of here we are, what we've always taught is right. What we've always taught is right, but here's the proof behind it. Here's some statistics behind it. And one of the things that came out of his conversations, and I was in another conversation with large groups of men, individually as groups and so forth, was going back to this. And it might sound very basic, but I thought it was really important to actually notice that it's an ongoing theme throughout history and throughout every family, that the father was deemed and seen as a protector,
Yes.
was seen as the one who provider,
the shield,
was seen as exactly these words were used: protector, provider, nurturer, giving that protection, giving that sense of security. This comes predominantly, not always of course, but this was the theme, that this is how they felt. One of the things they had at the end, which was maybe more modern, and they said that also they expected this, the word was used, flexibility. The father
Yes.
is flexible.
It is.
This flexibility, not rigidity, right? This flexibility was also something that you find.
But the
in
ajib thing is,
role.
Maulaya, nowadays when we talk about fathers, no flexibility.
This is what I'm saying. That there was hundreds of men. I think there was a couple of. I think it might be 2,000 or something of this number. This is one of the themes that came out. Security, protection, providing. Encouraging. Encouragement was one of the encouragement. But flexibility was something they added on. It was like something that he actually took out aside and said, one of the things that came up was this, that, sharing the roles, being kind, being kind as in, taking on the responsibility, like you said, less sacrifice. There's sacrifice in different ways. But this was something that actually came about, that we need to learn to be flexible as fathers. And then it brought me back to the Islamic perspective. When we always talk, it's a basic standard thing we're taught, the husband has to, and the father has to provide the shelter, the food, the, protection, the clothing. And this is the most important thing I see about that actual rule, because the rule for us as Muslims, it's highly encouraged that the father do that, although it's a family thing and you can all decide how to do that. But the actual Sharia does say, if we're going to have an argument, it's going to decide who's going to do it. It's the right of the father and it's the responsibility of the father. So if anybody can't afford it, then it's the father's responsibility to make it affordable or provide and to get the means and work and so forth. So what the important thing of that was, when I was reflecting over what was being written, what was being shown, and what our Islamic teachings are, and the way, the methodology, the guidance, it really empowers the father to be a father. It really empowers that role to be lived in reality when you have the responsibility on your shoulders to do those things. Because if it was just like, if you do it, you do it, she's got to do this, it would take away from the father's role. And he makes a point, and he's not a Muslim or anything like that, he makes the point that this has been taken away somewhat from fathers. So when they're not providing as much, when they're not, looked on and turned to as much, when kids want pocket money, they go to dad. Dad, can you give us some money? This, that, the other. When we were young, we'd go to dad. We're checking his pockets, and any pound coins there. Dad, I'm taking the pound coin out of your pocket. This, that, the other. But now is that all the same? Or does the child feel that dependency or that connection to the father as the provider, the protector? And this is why I think the Islamic perspective has to be brought in here. Practically speaking, on the ground, we need to see the father figure as the one that provides, because then the children, and it's connected, it's hard to pinpoint these connections, but I truly see this when I read about it. This is connected to the psychological development of the child, the fact that the child is going to grow up to be a successful, person, as a male or female, their relationship with their father as he gets older, as the actual father, and how he, he's this person who should be highly respected and loved, and the concern they have and the concern he had and what he did for them. And of course, like you said, mothers are important, but today we're talking about the father. I see this as somewhat being, there's an imbalance, I think, in this as well now. So what we want to move on now, Sheikh, if you can give us some guidance on the home and how the father can make that home, comfortable, a productive environment, a moral building environment. What are some of the guidances we could be taking from the Prophet ﷺ, some examples, or just general advice on making the home a better place for everyone?
Bismillah wa salatu ala habib Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Maulaya, of course, for us, Uswatun Hasana is the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Best of examples. No doubt we can go to one research, second research, report, this, that, whatever it may be. But when we go back to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, we find something very crucial. I came across a number of hadiths of Rasulullah, but there's a hadith narrated by Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha about the beloved of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha says, I have not seen anyone closer in conduct way and the manners to that of Rasulullah wasalam, to standing and sitting in every manner than Sayyida Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala anha. If you wanted to see Rasulullah wasalam in character, in mannerism, sitting, standing, you just have to see Sayyida Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala anha, the daughter of the beloved Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. She said, now this is very crucial what she says. Whenever Sayyida Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala anha would enter the home of Rasulullah, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would stand up. He would go up to her, kiss her, show affection to her, show a sense of compassion towards her, right? And then what he would do, he would ask her to come and sit in his place. Oh, you know, a person who studies child development, child psychology, right? Human psychology. Wallahi, what is happening here is phenomenal. It's phenomenal what's going on, Sidi Maulai. Because she goes on. She says, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go to her house, Allah, Sayyida Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala will stand up, will go towards the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and kiss him, and then give where she was sitting, ask him to sit in her place.
Subhanallah.
What's tarbiyat? अगर किसी को बताओगे नहीं वो करेगा कैसे? समझाओगे नहीं समझेगा कैसे? Until you do not educate someone, how can you expect something from them? Until you don't tell them the method and the way of showing affection, showing respect, showing kindness, being affectionate, encouraging, and creating a sense of encouragement, a sense of, the sense of belonging to that person. मैं कौन हूँ, क्या हूँ, किस तरह हूँ? How can you expect that from them? Hazrat, यही तो बहुत बड़ी मुसीबत है हमारी. This is one of the biggest issues we have.
We do.
Our beloved parents, I don't mean our own personally, but as a holistic sense, we want our children to be namazis. We want our children to be, people of Saum. We want our children to be people of Quran. We want our children to be, from a bardar. We want our children to be kind, loving, affectionate. We want our children to listen to us. है ना? अरे क्या आपने से किया है? क्या आपने उनको दिखाया है कि किसी की बात किस तरह सुनी जाती है? नमाज किस तरह पढ़ी जाती है? सौम किस तरह रखा, रोजा किस तरह रखा जाता है? Have you shown them how to be affectionate towards someone, how to speak to someone, how to show respect to someone? I read a very good quote by, coincidentally, this is a offbeat quote, but it's a very good quote by Pope John Paul. Pope John Paul, the late Pope John Paul, said this. He goes, first, put into someone love and affection. Then draw the love out. If you want love from them, first show it to them. Give it to them. Then you could take it out of them. So within the context of what the father should do within the home, this is a very crucial part. If you want your children, Allahu Akbar, to be the ideals that you have in your heart and your head, you become that ideal. You become the model. You become the father that they desire. You become the shoulder that they cry on. You become, the face that they kiss. And when they look at you, they get Hajj al-Mabrur. Because it will also be the other way around. If you don't show them respect, if you don't show them honor, they will not show you respect and honor. We think being fearful of someone is respect. That's not respect. None of the Sahaba feared the Prophet ﷺ.
It's reverence of the heart, isn't it? It's the awe that you have. Yeah.
So the status of the father is based upon this genuine honor and respect for him.
Yeah.
And then you become the means of knowledge and wisdom. That's what this is. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not. Nothing is easy. But that's what gives us the status of fatherhood and motherhood
Subhanallah.
at the same
Can I
time.
just bring in some questions?
Bismillah.
Yeah.
Bismillah.
So we've got a question here from the Sajjad, one of our regulars. May Allah bless him.
MashaAllah. Ahlan wa
Brother,
sahlan.
could you please highlight why the mother has more importance than the father? I think we touched on this, but
We did,
if you
yes.
want to address that, maybe it's misunderstood, this concept.
It is a misunderstanding. It is a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
From the concept of the Quran, the status and the position of the father and mother is equal. It is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Nowhere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala separates the mother from the father or the father from the mother, and he says that you give one more reverence, respect, and honor, and you forget the other one. It doesn't say that anywhere. There's no doubt, like I just said, in the historic context, what needs to be understood is that women were not treated well. The mothers, their own mothers, were sold in the bazaar. If you pick up the books of Tariq, it shocks you. I remember I was reading, Ziya'un Nabi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect Hazrat bin Muhammad Karam Shah rahimahullah ta'ala. Allah give them a great place and status and honor in the hereafter, inshallah ta'ala. I was reading the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's shocking the world that was before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the time of Jahiliyyah. It's unbelievable. That's what was happening to these women. To remove that, to eradicate that, Rasulullah ﷺ would talk about the status and honor and position of the mother, the reverence, the honor, the majesty.
So in this case, it's more of a, we see this respect for the mother, your mother 3 times, to show how much we need to address this issue of the role of the mother. And it was a very bad thing at the time. Islam, Prophet ﷺ came to rectify that, came to change that idea. In terms of obedience, this question that often comes up: who do you obey, your mother or your father?
Both of them.
Both of them. What if it seems like it's a contradiction? Let's say, because sometimes people make up the contradiction.
It seems like a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
This is why it is important that you have that relationship. You have to understand, the king of the house is your dad,
and the queen is the mother.
But she's the queen.
King and queen, huh?
Yeah, but she's the queen. Do you know what I'm saying? She's the queen.
Yes.
Now, that's the relationship. And the kids are what? They're subordinate. They're the subjects. King, queen, and we are the subjects.
That's how it has to be, yeah. That's how
and do you remember, if the king and queen do not want to be demoted or removed from their status, they have to be benevolent. They have to be compassionate. They have to be loving. They have to be caring. And if the subjects don't want to be, removed or something to happen to them, what do? They have to be obedient. They have to be understanding. They have to be loving, isn't it? That's how the system works, isn't it?
We have to find a balance and not make the conflicts, in a sense. We've got to understand that there has to be this role playing, as in role fulfilling, understanding where our limits are for each and every one of us.
Let me share something, because a beautiful question came over. That was, how do we keep create an environment where there is a meaningful two-way relationship? Yeah,
this one the question. Right? How to build
a meaningful two-way relationship. Yeah. Now, the meaningful two-way relationship occurs like this. From the father's side, that he is interested in his children's interests. And the children are also interested in their father's interests.
Yeah.
Look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when the father is not there, what is the hukum for the children? Go and meet the friends, honor the friends who used to be with your father when he was alive. Why do that?
Yeah.
Only because you are reviving what your father used to love, what your father used to do, for your father's dreams, father's, his memories. That's what you are doing. This is our tradition. What our issue is, we separate this. Oh, they're a different generation. 1 minute, we have to, if we really want to connect, we have to understand elements of that tradition, of that generation, whereas they will understand us. So it works both ways.
Yeah,
it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. If we want them to walk towards us, we have to walk towards them. If we want our children to walk towards us, as parents, as fathers, we have to walk towards them.
Yeah, you have to be there for them when they need something, when they require not just even about food and drink, but actually the emotional support, the spiritual
support.
Education. They have challenges in their studies, or they might have a problem here, a problem there. When we give them our time, and I'm just that, outside of the extracurricular, as we say, right? You go and do
Yes.
stuff together, play together. You know, I remember one of the sheikhs, he was giving a talk, and he said, you know, he remembers one of his uncles the most from his childhood. He loves him the most, and he goes to him and takes advice from him and speaks to him all the time. And says, you know why I do that? He goes, he used to play with us when we were young. He used to come around and play, ask us how we are, give us time. He was the best uncle. But
Yes.
today, he's the one we turn to. Today, he's the one we think, oh, let's pick up the phone, because he made that relationship. He gave us
Yes.
time. He played with us. He played cricket in the, and everything with us. And today, we turn to him, even in
Attention.
our elder age when we were going through our challenges in life. So this is
We do.
important, that it's not just about dealing with the issues when they arise, actually being proactive and
Yes.
building that meaningful relationship. Go out and bike riding with your son, daughter. You know, go and take them on a trip to,
Yes.
fishing. I don't know what people do today. Go and play
They do some
football
beautiful
together.
things.
Alhamdulillah, go to the sea and go on a boat together.
But
Mashallah,
even
the
Maulaya,
relations.
even our elders, we say, oh, modern again, some jare
Ji,
bache the bade again, whatever it is. But even our elder generation who are in their 70s, 80s, 90s now, who are our grandparents, you
ji.
know, they're amazing people. They're
Mhm.
they're our blood, and the way you do this is that you engage with them at that level. You won't expect them to go for on a hike, would you? All right, not all of
Yes.
them, but to get to I'm talking about them as well, to engage with their children, to be interested in certain बच्चा पुत्र क्या कर रहे हो, क्या हो रहा है, किस तरह हो रहा है,
Ji.
कहाँ जा रहे हो, these things. They are interested in you, and that's
Yeah.
highly important. This is how it works. It's both ways, in both ways.
Mhm.
Then of course what we have already spoke about, that if you want affection, if you want understanding, you have to
Mhm.
show affection and create understanding as well, as a
Yeah.
father towards your children. It starts from this side first. It starts from the elder side first. अगर उनमें वो डालोगे नहीं, वो निकलेगा नहीं. If you do not put that
Mhm.
in them, it won't come out. And let me share something else with you. As human beings, we are forgetful, right? Now, this is another side to it which is highly important. Allahu Akbar Kabira. This is one of the most hardest things. When we talk about implement an open door policy, we create relationships which are based in so much anger, so much frustration. Our children don't turn towards us. They don't turn towards us. They go to other people. They find their dark friends.
Yeah.
They find people in the street. They find other individuals. And they are not asking those individuals that will give them the most sincere, most, loving, sincere wisdom and advice, which is their mom and dad, especially their dad. They won't do it.
Yeah.
And let me share something with you. I want to share something which I've not shared in any other platform. And I want to share this.
Bismillah, Allah bless you, Sayyidi. Go ahead.
With me and my father, Allah protect him, inshallah ta'ala. Allah
Amin,
give him a
amin.
long age, inshallah ta'ala. We all have our relationships. But in life, what happens in our childhood, we can't remember. We remember once we have this sense of memory. Okay, my father's engagement has been like this. My father's giving and taking has been like this. Alhamdulillah, because of my father, he gave me the opportunity to go and study, learn, seek, helped me, supported me, did everything. Alhamdulillah. But I never saw my dad laugh. They genuinely laugh. I never saw him. Now I can't, in my living memory, I couldn't remember that. I was looking through old photos, Maulaya. I was just sifting through, and suddenly I come across this photo. I look at the photo, and the baby is laughing like this. My dad, I was 1. And my dad, very young man, he was in his early 20s.
MashaAllah.
He was doing this. What that did for me, Akhal Aziz.
MashaAllah. Allah bless your father, MashaAllah.
What that did for me, there are no words. I just suddenly found that my father had. That's why I am the way I am. I laugh, I joke, I engage, I do all of this. I have a certain particular persona. It comes from that engagement of my father because because I was away from home for a long time. I didn't get that interaction because I was in madrasa, then I was abroad, then I was studying and learning. I didn't see that side of him. And over time, because of experience and life and engagement, he's slightly become a slightly different person. He's much more serious. He's much more whatever he was, right? Whatever he is. Alhamdulillah, Allah protect him. But that I had to see that to create that immense. I can't explain the love I had for him because I saw that. And now I see that face. Here and there he smiles. Here and there he says something. I know that he's the same father that has laughed with me, has joked with me, has tried to develop me at a particular way, as whatever his capacity, ability was. I share this because all of us desire this, as children. When our father says Shabash Putter.
It feels good.
We're talking about open door policy. We're talking about this environment that we're creating. Just by saying this to your children, Shabash Putter. Changa kam kite. Your child goes from here to the stratosphere.
No, nobody can do that apart from
no one can do that other than the father. Other than the father. This is the power of the words of your father. Wallahi, it is. When he looks at you, and he doesn't have to say.
It's true. They can't just say that. At home, there's an issue arises, right? They'll say, let's go ask dad. Even as much as mom tells them sometimes. As soon as you say yes, they say, oh yeah, dad said it. Dad said it, so it has to be. If you're wrong, they'll believe you. Alhamdulillah, because you hold that place over their heart. That when dad tells us something, when he says good, when he's happy with something, oh my goodness, that's amazing. The children, as your children, they hold this high regard. And what I want to say about this particular point, Hazrat, is that we as humans, and myself, I am, and I've learned to change, and I think I've done well, but we all have shortcomings, is what closes this door drastically. And all of a sudden, and even in life it does, is the idea of being judgmental, the idea of lashing out. And fathers can also do this. They're quite quick to do this because they want that discipline. They want that, this is not going to happen here. And in that, drawing that balance almost between being firm and authoritarian and authoritative and kind, and as well as acknowledging, we need to be careful we don't close that door. We don't, because we could get it wrong even with our children. We could say, and you're like, oh, but I was only doing it because mom said, oh, this happened. Oh yeah, carry on. But then you're being harsh. The child sees that dad. Then tomorrow the child's like, better stay away from dad because he's just jumping on me all the time. He's kind of. I've got to be. Children do be more careful when they feel they're gonna get told off. Not gonna get hurt or anything. Just that the kind of snappy words you might say to them. So we've got to be very careful not to be harsh or hasty or judgmental. I think this closes that door without us knowing it, because tomorrow we thinking, why not coming to me for? Why didn't you come to me for when this happened? I'm here to help you. We all have to help. Parents are there to help. Fathers would be the first to help, but we don't realize how sometimes we pushed them away in just these, what we felt was the right thing to do, the discipline to give and the word to say, and but sometimes it can be a slip, it can be a mistake, and we need to remind them. How do we make up for this? I think we need to remind them, look, everything I say to you, everything I tell you is just for your betterment. I might get it wrong sometimes, and as fathers, we need to say that to them, because they need to also understand fathers are not perfect human beings. Only
the humans.
The humans. If I make a mistake in what I've said to you, I gotta, it takes a big thing to do. But father may have to apologize to the son at some point, because he might make a mistake. If you step on somebody's foot, you apologize. You're not going to do that for your son. It's okay, my son, I can step on his feet. No, it's not going to build a healthy relationship. If you make a mistake, say, look, sorry, I should have been more careful. Say to your own son, because that's going to build a better relationship between you and him, or her, of course, the daughter as well, and how to nurture them and build that relationship. So tomorrow they come to you. This is, I think, where the distance comes, where the father somehow, and sometimes the way we brought up ourselves, thinks that being that disciplined figure and being firm is always going to be the right thing to do. And then tomorrow,
that happens because it's learned parental abilities and skills. We
It is,
do
yeah.
unto our children what we've learned and what's happened to us.
Yes. Yes.
But the tradition we are from, our deen encourages knowledge seeking betterment.
Betterment.
There's
Yeah.
no
And
excuses.
always trying to adapt and
Yeah,
change
people
and check
say,
ourselves.
"Sade
Yeah.
buzurg isa karne hone se ta sa is tarah karsa." I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry to humbly and put my hands together. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You are your children, or our children have not been made for our time. They are being made for the next, which is the next
Yeah.
10, 30, 40 years. We have to prepare them for that.
True.
Ourselves were made, like for our parents, my parents with their parents. It's not that they had a stroll in the park. It wasn't. The similar type of issues and concerns that had occurred. Of course, the home structures were different, or the way behaviors were different. In the area of sociology, that's why you have something called the authoritarian parenting. Yeah, the authoritative parenting, the permissive parenting, the neglectful parenting. All of these have different impacts because it's both sides. If you too strict, that will have a negative. But if you too lenient, that will also have a negative.
Negative, yeah. Can I bring in another question here, because we're coming to the end and we just want to address what our viewers have sent in. We want to thank you for your comments. Please do share. Please do comment. Please do, if you're going to, we're going to be wrapping up soon. But if you have any questions, please do put them in the comments. Please do subscribe to our channel as well. It says, when you are a father, may Allah bless brother Rizwan and his children. MashaAllah, baby boy has come. How can you balance trying to raise a child according to Islamic principles when others may have different perspectives in life? What is the best approach? I think it's a very good question. Balancing between the Islamic principles and, like I said, I'm reading stuff, and I read a lot of, stuff from non-Muslims and just general research and doctors and psychologists like yourself. And we study, we're brought up in that environment. We live in the West. We live in an environment where everything is done on a scientific basis, on a research basis, on empirical data, and they don't always take a religious route, and quite sometimes it's totally irrelevant to them. So if there seems to be, and again, there may be different perspectives, there may be a clash, maybe something we see, but you Mola, have actually done both. You've done a great amount of studies in Islamic, you've been abroad, you've studied many years, you've been to the system, you mashallah, psychology background, youth work. How would you say, and how would you, I think this question you should, it's over to you, Hazrat. Bismillah.
Jazakallah khair. Now, the thing is here that, for example, as a parent, you want certain things for your child, but you might be part of an extended family. Your parents might want something, your uncle, the child's uncle, aunties might want something. Do you understand? This is where the conflict comes from. Okay, I want my child to eat this. I want my child to get up at that time. I want my child to start praying Quran. I want my child to pray Salah at this time, and etc., etc., etc. Whereas when they go to the uncles and aunties, or when they go to your cousins, or when they go to your parents, it's slightly changed. That's where the conflict. I believe that's where the question is coming from. That you want your child to abide by a certain set of codes and principles. In this case, the Islamic, and their way of doing might be more cultural. All right, that's where the conflict comes in. Now, when we discuss this in our discussion podcast around culture and Sharia, one of the key things what we said was you have to be careful before you shun everybody. Do you remember you as a son or a daughter are also products of the same household of your parents? You've come out of that situation, etc. You've gained certain things you are gaining at this moment in time. What needs to be done? What needs to be done is this. It's all based on relationship. If you work upon your child at home, you have a particular routine, have that conversation with your mom and dad. You may say, this is what we are emphasizing, because what our issue is, our resolutions can take place by creating an avenue of conversation. Go and sit with Abbaji, take some tel shell out and do some malish on your father, on his legs. Alhamdulillah, Abbaji, kya hal hai, theek ho, Allah to Rabb sani farmaya. Abbaji, Alhamdulillah, I've been studying something, learning something. Katra katra banta hai daya. It takes a drop by drop. This is how you work. This is how you do this. You cannot say, no, that's it. This is the principle, and I'm going to become hard. Deen is not like this. Deen is not like this. Shariat is not like this. Shariat and Deen has to understand the circumstances, and then it slowly but surely brings people close. This is the process. Be a son. If you want your dad to understand the issues with your child, which you are brought this world, that you want your child to be adhere to the certain Islamic principle, then you be a son towards your dad. Go and sit with him. Talk to him.
On this point, Maulai, I just want to say that there's a lot of ways. People come to me. I want to do homeschooling. My missus doesn't want to do it. Ladies come and say, look, we want to get rid of the TV. They don't want to get rid of the TV. There's many ways of we should have a TV because then they'll see things and they won't be alien to this. They're growing up in the modern world. Education, what schools. People move homes and relocate for the education of their children. It's one of the main reasons people relocate. By the way, research has shown. But the children are a big factor in relocation and future life of a family. So there are going to be massive decisions because of the children and the upbringing of the children and the environment. And people even migrate to other countries for their children. I've got friends who were in Syria with me because of their families, and now maybe in Turkey and other places because of their families. And what we need to remember in all of this is that we need to work for the welfare of the children within a balance within our communities. Not everybody can do the same things, but if you have an opportunity, it's actually a good thing. You yourself, you were given the opportunity to go and study. That was time away from your family. Think about that. That's not a good thing to say. I'm going to move away from my family for such a long period of time. I mean, of course, you visit and so forth, but it has an effect because they do everything on a daily basis, and you come on a weekly, bi-weekly. Sometimes even several months you may be away. So it has a toll on one's connection, on one's welfare, spiritually, mentally. So we need to always remember whatever situation the family is in, it should be to the welfare of the ultimate greater good. Should be
100%. Do not cut yourself off.
Yeah,
that's wrong. If you know that the violation is not outright against what Shariat and Quran is saying, do not cut yourself off. Even when you get to a place there is one, then be a son, be a daughter, and go and converse with your elders.
Yeah,
because they are the grandparents, they're the nani, nana, dadi, dada of your children.
That's right.
Do you understand? That relationship, you can't destroy that. In fact, that's beneficial for you and for your child as well, inshallah ta'ala.
So on this, we've got a final question, and we'll move into closing remarks. And thank you to our viewers for being with us today. The question here was sent in is it the mother or father who encourages daughters, specific question, but I think it's a good question, to observe hijab? And I just want to say one thing here. Hijab isn't just a head scarf. We always keep on saying, so Allah bless the individual who sent the question. But I just want to say, whose role is it to inculcate modesty into the children? Because it could be daughters and males as well, but obviously specifically I think the question is about the headscarf for girls. So how would you address this, Maulai?
It's a combined effort, 100%.
Yeah.
It's like this: if you want your daughter or your son to behave in a particular way, you have to behave in that way first. Under the whole study of child development, one of the key things which impact the child's behavior and engagement is what they observe, what they see. Look, hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu. What does the Prophet say? Encourage your children to pray salah with you at the age of 7. Why did the Prophet say that? He said this because you are praying yourself and they come and stand beside you.
You're a lead by example.
That's how it is. Don't preach what you don't practice.
That's right.
Don't practice what you don't preach. This is the tradition, Sidi Maulai. This is our deen, al-Islam. If it is the duty of both. Now, for example, if the mother doesn't wear hijab, I'm just putting out there. If the mother doesn't wear hijab,
generally,
it's what you and I say or what the mother says to the child under fear, maybe love, the child will wear it. But once they get an understanding, they get to about 15, 16, 17, 18, they'll be like, woman, you don't wear it, why should I wear it?
Exactly. And same for father and the modesty of the child, the son or the practice.
And the father,
if you're saying to your children, pray, and you don't pray, it's not going to work at that age. It's going to be very difficult.
It is. Now with the father, this is the same thing. Now the father has to go down a more of a logical route. Because the conversation that he needs to have with his child, if he's a daughter, is a open conversation with her.
Yeah.
There's no imposing. La ikrah fi din.
Yeah, and that's why, Mom, I think we'll go back to the beginning, Hazrat. If you got it right in terms of their morals, their character, and that nurturing, then really these are just natural steps. You know, whose role is it to do? I mean, the person may not be asking as is a problem. He's just maybe asking who is going to do this. And totally agree with you. I think it's everything with regard to nurturing the children is a combination. Sometimes the father takes the lead, sometimes the mother takes the lead, sometimes it's better to do it one way, but for another family it could be different. Also circumstantial things are a big factor. And what I would say on this one is that the mother has to lead by example, because it's just practically the case that she's going to be the one who has to wear hijab outside of the home, etc. And the father has to lead, like I said, on a logical basis, as this is the commands of Allah. We try and fulfill them. Look, we have to have modesty as men. We have to have our rules, and you should try to observe this. So, like you said, I think I agree with you, Mola. I just wanted to move on. You can talk about this topic if you like and conclude with this, but I just want to move on to some final comments from yourself as well. If you have anything to say further, Bismillah, Hazrat, it's all yours as long as you want.
Jazakallah khair. Allah give you barakah bi ta'ala. There is one more question, but I think we're going to leave that for a later period. The question was how a mother should allow a father in the child's relationship if they are not together. It's a very good question, alhamdulillah. And I think
actually brilliant
it's a brilliant question, inshallah. And that's something we will deal with. We will deal with, inshallah, in the coming some session, inshallah ta'ala. But there's what I want to do now is I want to do a very quick exercise with all of you, inshallah, all our viewers, all our listeners, inshallah ta'ala.
Everyone exercise time. Are we going to get up and do squat?
No. This is it's gonna. I don't want to do that. Not in this hour. It's nearly 12, inshallah ta'ala. I'm gonna ask you. So everybody, forget where you are. No. Just listen. Just listen to what I'm saying at this moment, inshallah. Everyone, our brothers, sisters, elders, youngsters, right? Forget whatever you are doing, wherever you are. Close your eyes. Molaya, you too. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Think about your childhood. Picture your father's. His smiling eyes, his strong hands. Hear his deep voice. What did you love about your dad? Did he throw you high in the air? Teach you to ride the bike? Carry you home when you got hurt? Push you when you tried to give up? What did it feel like in having a daddy, Abuji, Papaji, Pops? Did it feel like that you were secure? Was it fun? Was it challenging? Now, go back into your memories. Now erase your father from every scene. How do you feel? Molaya?
Can't do it.
This is the impact of our fathers on our existence.
When you said the word erase, I just felt horrible then.
This is the you can't. The one who taught you how to ride a bike, the one who picked you when you got hurt, the one who cared for you at time, the one who pushed you when you didn't want to move forward, the one who did, suddenly remove them. You can't. It's the most, but the sad thing is, in the world there are children who don't have that. I will end at this somber thought for those children, those families who don't have this. Don't look down upon them. Have empathy for them. Have sympathy for them. Feel for them. And do dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put something amazing into their lives. Because wallahi, the fathers we have, if we are not grateful for our fathers who have done so much for us and made us who we are, Na'uz billah, what if they were removed from us? we won't have them memories, we won't have them feelings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our fathers, protect our families, protect our mothers.
Ameen. Ameen.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Mulai. I would like to say finally that thank you to all for joining us. Keep tuning in on Saturday evenings. And on this topic as well, I would like to also acknowledge and say that those that may not have a father figure in their lives at the younger age, mothers are doing the job, or even guardians, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have his father, but he had his uncle, he had his grandfather, we ask God to send them great people and teachers and community members that will impact their lives. Like we said earlier, there's a father who's biological, and then there's somebody who helps nurture you and look after you. It could be an uncle, it could be an elder brother, it could be anyone. And this has happened for many of the great people in history, that they were nurtured by their older brother sometimes or by their uncle. And of course, we ask Allah to ennoble our fathers and our mothers and allow us to serve them, and also allow them to look after their children and nurture them for a better community, better family unit, and better community. And most importantly, as we say often in our broadcasts, is for a better relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the father, for being the father, for the child to developing that relation, for the wife, the spouses, for growing together. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your being a part of these podcasts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.